and the types of evaluation, that is during which stage a particular evaluation will be carried out, the process of evaluation, and then the two most important factors for the reliability and validity of the results. So reliability and validity, these two components, and then what are the factors which need to be considered in order to enhance the reliability and validity of test results. And at the end, we will study the techniques of various techniques of evaluation, because you see there are wide differences amongst, you see, the learning outcomes. Learning outcomes may pertain to knowledge, learning outcomes may pertain to skill, and also pertain to attitudes. So each technique of evaluation has its own advantages and disadvantages. So it will be incorrect to use a single technique of evaluation for measuring students' varied learning abilities. So the teacher has to employ a mix of, you see, techniques of evaluation. You see, in order to know about the performance of students during practicals, we need some quiz. We also want, we can also observe their behavior, how they are performing. Okay, so it means all the three types of tests, that is which measure knowledge, skill, and attitudes, need to be employed. So now let me present my PPT. So let me share with you some of the questions which require information. How realistic are my teaching plans for the particular group of students? Because there are wide individual differences among students. So a variety of students are sitting in the classroom. Some are, you see, above average, some are average, some are below average. So whether my teaching plan is relevant for, you see, different types of students sitting in the classroom. How should students be grouped for more effective learning? To what extent are students ready for the next learning experience? Very important. You see, before going to the classroom, the teacher assumes that my students are already familiar with this. So you need to, you see, test the prerequisites possessed by different students. So only then you will come to know that now the students are ready for receiving new learning. To what extent are the students attaining the minimum essentials of the course? To what extent are students progressing beyond the minimum essentials? At what point would a review be most beneficial? What types of learning difficulties are the students facing? Or which students are underachiever? Which students have poor self-understanding? Which students should be referred to counseling, special classes? How effective was my teaching? So answer to these questions, you see, can be given by measuring or by evaluating students' various, you see, abilities. So student evaluation. Now, firstly, measurement. Measurement, from the title itself, it is clear. That is, it provides you the quantitative aspect of a person's personality or a person's performance. For example, I say Ramesh got 65 out of, say, 100 correct mathematics problem. Now, when I say 65 out of 100 correct mathematical problem, it doesn't include the qualitative aspect, that is whether his calculations or his handwriting or his work was neat or not. So it provides only a numerical description of the degree to which an individual possesses a particular characteristic. So it only answers how much, and that is, in this case, through measurement, we are not determining the worth. So you can only find out the strengths and weaknesses. Now coming to the second term, the test. Test is an instrument that is used to measure the performance. Okay, so test contains item based upon the table of specification which the teacher has prepared before setting a question paper. So it contains item pertaining to delimited domain of performance tasks. Scoring is the procedure of assigning a numerical value, to the assessment task. And assessment, it is a process of collecting information for decision making on certain issues which are related to the students who are being assessed. So assessment is a strategic, I would say, problem solving process that uses measurement as one of the means of systematic collection and analysis of the information for making various decisions in different aspects of instruction. Now, let us come to the concept of evaluation, which is more comprehensive and inclusive than the concept of measurement. So evaluation involves value judgment. So it is both the quantitative and qualitative appraisal of a student's performance. It is a process of providing information for decision making, process of determining the worth of something in relation to established benchmark using assessment information. It is a systematic process of determining the extent to which learning outcomes are achieved by the students. The evaluation process begins with writing the learning outcomes, then writing the items corresponding to those learning outcomes. So if there is a one-to-one correspondence between the statement of the learning outcome and the statement of the question, then that item will provide valid and reliable results. Now coming to the purposes of evaluation, the basic purpose is to obtain information. Okay, so to obtain information regarding the extent to which a student has achieved mastery over a set of learning outcomes included in a course. So sometimes we compare the performance of one student against the learning outcomes. We are not interested in comparing the performance of one student with the performance of another students. So the purpose is to know whether the student has achieved the requisite concepts which are included in the course or not. So this provides information to compare the achievement of students in relation to learning outcomes. It also gives information to the teacher regarding the adequacy of method of instruction. Say he has been following lecture method of imparting instruction, and he found that students are not giving their attention. They are finding classroom lecture very much boring, uninteresting. So because the teacher looks at the at the faces of the students, and he found that the students are not enjoying the lecture. So there is a need to now employ another method of teaching. So it means the evaluation provides information to the teacher regarding the adequacy of method of instruction as well as adequacy of the instructional media. Okay, so teacher can take instructional decisions related to planning, grouping of students, learning difficulties, student counseling and guidance. And evaluation also gives information to the student regarding their level of performance, and the information can be used for the administrative purposes like the placement or the grouping of student or promotion of students, or maybe the in-service training of the teachers. Say the course is new and the teacher is not trained in that particular subject, so there is a need to send teacher for updating his knowledge in the particular area. And sometimes the student's performance is low because of inadequate facilities available in the laboratory or in the department. So there is a need to procure the facilities. Okay, so basic purpose is to obtain information. Now let us learn about the types of evaluation. So the first one is the placement evaluation. The role of this type of evaluation is to place students in the topic or in the course or in this say program appropriate to their interest and abilities. You see, before coming to the new topic, the teacher, tries to ensure the prerequisites possessed by the students. So in order to ensure what he does, he asks one or two questions to know about the level, whether to know whether they possess the prerequisites or not. Only then the new topic can be started. So placement evaluation answers question like, does the student possess the knowledge and skill that is needed to begin the planned instruction? Okay, so you have to ensure. So sometimes the teacher starts teaching a new topic without ensuring the prerequisites available in the students. So उसका result क्या होता है? टीचर तो आगे चले जाता है, स्टूडेंट के पास पीछे वाली इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं है, so there is a gap. Okay, so either the teacher has to ask few questions or he has to provide an overview of what he has covered in the last lecture, which becomes the prerequisites for the new topic. So to what extent the student has already mastered the objectives of the planned instruction? To what extent do the students' interest, work habits, personality characteristics are different for different methods of instruction? It means, as a teacher, I need to know their learning styles. I have shared with you the topic on understanding learners and learning needs. Okay, that was the discussed on the very first day, and I told you to administer on yourself the test on learning style by Felder and Solomon. So now what you can do is you can tell your students to self-administer that index of learning style, and they will let you know about their learning styles. So you have to adapt your teaching style suiting to the learning styles of the learners. तो आप सबका अकेले अकेले का नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन आप एवरेज जो स्टाइल ऑफ लर्निंग है उसको ध्यान में रख के you can make some changes in your teaching plan. So for this, aptitude test, pre-test on course outcomes, self-report on interest, work habits, personality characteristics, learning style, ये टूल जो है वो यूज किए जा सकते हैं to know whether the students are ready for receiving new learning or not. Then comes the formative evaluation. Formative means during the formation of learning. Okay, purpose is to monitor the learning progress during instruction. So say you have a topic of about 1 hour. You have divided that topic into 3 or 4 subtopics. After completing one subtopic, you will be asking 1 or 2 questions to know to what extent the students have received the information. Okay, so in case there are no satisfactory answers, then there is a need to make changes in your subsequent presentation. So you can always make some changes. So formative evaluation, is carried out during a course when changes can be made in the transactions of subsequent instruction on the basis of current attainment. So the basic purpose of this formative evaluation is to provide continuous feedback to the students and to the teacher also, because if the teacher is asking questions, the students are not giving their responses, it means it is a feedback to the teacher that whatever he has covered has not been understood by the students. So it gives feedback to both the teacher and the students. So on the basis of its results, the teacher can modify the instruction to best meet the students' needs or their learning styles. So teacher can review the content matter and its presentation. He can also determine which portion requires further elaboration or discussion. And for formative evaluation, you can have mastery test for each topic, a laboratory, workshop, field work, or you can also do sectional recapitulation during the course, during the topic. Now, formative evaluation, when it comes to the semester, so there are, you take 3 sessional tests. You also give a weekly quiz, and you also give certain assignments. So weightage to all these components will provide you the information about the formative evaluation. Then comes the summative evaluation. So from the title itself, it is clear that this tells whether and how much students have learned. So this is used at the end of a term or a course or a program, or as far as classroom teaching is concerned, at the end of the lecture, you are asking 2 or 3 questions pertaining to the entire chapter. During the lecture, you are asking few questions, that is formative evaluation. Before the start of the topic, you ask 1 or 2 questions to know about their prerequisite, that is placement evaluation. So it is, I think it is clear, placement, फॉर्मेटिव, समेटिव, ये तीनों जो हैं टॉपिक के ऊपर भी लगा सकते हो, एक सब्जेक्ट के ऊपर भी लगा सकते हो, ओके, और पूरे सेमेस्टर के लिए भी लगा सकते हो. सो जो समेटिव एवेल्यूशन है वो है एंड सेमेस्टर एग्जामिनेशन. द पर्पस इज ग्रेडिंग, सर्टिफिकेशन, एवेल्यूएशन ऑफ प्रोग्रेस, और इसका डाटा जो है वो यूज किया जा सकता है टू स्टडी द इफेक्टिवनेस ऑफ curriculum or the course of study or the educational plan. And for this, criterion reference testing or norm reference testing can be employed. So criterion reference testing, the purpose is to compare the performance of one student against the stated learning outcome. जैसे मान लीजिए learning outcome है define force. Now if the student is able to define the force as per the instruction, then we say that he has attained this learning outcome. That is criterion reference. That is, if he or she is able to state or define force 100% correctly, okay, we say that he has attained the mastery over this learning outcome. Norm reference testing क्या होती है? When we compare the performance of one student against the performance of another student, maybe in the same class or in the same institution or in the other institution under the same umbrella of a particular technical university, right? And there is another type of evaluation which most of the teachers do not consider at all. That is the diagnostic evaluation. The purpose is to diagnose the persistent or recurring learning difficulties that are left unresolved during instruction, okay, by the standard corrective procedures of formative evaluation to formulate a plan for remedial action. So through diagnostic evaluation, we can make a plan for providing remedial instruction to the students. And for this, you can use specially prepared diagnostic test and observational techniques. Now, coming to the process of evaluation. So as I told you in the beginning, that evaluation begins with formulating learning outcomes of teaching. When I say learning outcomes, these are explicitly stated. These define the student task as completely as possible, completely and specifically. For example, learning outcome will be, after the topic is over, the learner will be able to define force. और ये नहीं हो सकता कि इसका जो क्वेश्चन है वो डिफाइन फोर्स की जगह आपने बना दिया व्हाट डू यू नो अबाउट फोर्स, तो वो लर्निंग आउटकम अचीव नहीं हुआ. लर्निंग आउटकम तभी पता चलेगा कि वो अचीव हो गया अगर वो उसके डायरेक्टली वो स्टेटमेंट आइटम की भी हो. जैसे डिफाइन फोर्स लर्निंग आउटकम है तो कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग क्वेश्चन भी डिफाइन फोर्स होना चाहिए. So formatting first of all learning outcomes, and then ensure whether the student possesses the prerequisites or not. Then decide about the appropriate learning experiences, which may contain the delivery content delivery through different approaches, PowerPoint presentation, video, etc. And then you need to devise a suitable assessment procedure. And finally, you will administer the test and you will get the information. So that information will be used for you see subsequent improvement or for other purposes. So evaluation process, you see, can be viewed as a cyclical process, which can include four phases. First is the preparation phase, second is the assessment phase, then evaluation phase, and reflection. So the evaluation process involves the teacher as a decision maker throughout all the four phases. Now let me present before you the phases involved, the four phases involved in the evaluation process. First one is the preparation phase. So in this phase, decisions are made which describe the information needed. So what is to be evaluated? The type of evaluation to be used, whether it is formative, summative, diagnostic. So what to be evaluated means whether you want to evaluate the students' attainment of knowledge or attainment of skill or attainment of attitude. Okay. Then type of evaluation to be used, what is the criteria against which student learning outcomes will be judged, and finally the most appropriate strategy with which to gather information on student progress. So you see, the selection of assessment strategy is based upon upon what to evaluate, at what time to evaluate, and what is the criteria. Okay. So here the decision is taken in regard to when and how to obtain needed information. So decisions made during this phase will form the basis for planning during the other three phases. So the second phase is the assessment phase, and during this phase the teacher identifies the information gathering strategies. He constructs the instrument, that is the test, or he selects the test, he administers the test to the student and collect, you see, the information on student learning progress. So the identification and elimination of bias like gender bias or the cultural bias from assessment strategies and instruments, and the determination of where, when, and how assessment will be conducted are important considerations of this particular phase. Third phase is the evaluation phase. During this phase, the information collected during the, you see, assessment phase is used to make judgments about student progress. And based upon the judgment, you see, decisions about student learning programs are made and reported to them, to their parents, and to other appropriate institutional personnel, maybe like the head of the institution, or maybe the curriculum planner, or to the dean, who has to send teachers for the in-service training. The fourth phase is the reflection phase. Now we will ponder on the successes and shortfalls of the previous phases. That is the reflection phase. So here we specifically evaluate the utility and appropriateness of the assessment strategies used, and finally make decisions concerning improvements or modifications to subsequent teaching and assessment. So friends, placement, formative, summative, and diagnostic evaluation, that is these four types of evaluation जो हमने पढ़ी थी, all these evaluation processes involve all the four phases, that is preparation, assessment, evaluation, and reflective. So ये चारों फेज जो हैं, चाहे आपने प्लेसमेंट एवेल्यूशन करनी है, चाहे आपने फॉर्मेटिव करनी है, उन सब में ये जो है एम्प्लॉय होंगे. Now coming to the basic principles of evaluation, that is before you evaluate the student performance, you need to know the basic principles. उससे पहले आप जो है evaluation जो है अगर करते हैं तो हो सकता है कि उसमें कुछ कमी रह जाए. So as a teacher, you need to know the basic principle. First is you need to be aware about the purpose of evaluation. So friends, effectiveness of evaluation depends upon knowing the purpose of evaluation, and it should precede the selection of evaluation device. क्योंकि मैंने पहले ही आपको बोला था, the evaluation technique depends upon the purpose of the evaluation, okay, and the type of evaluation. And then the teacher needs to know what to evaluate, whether to evaluate student performance in the cognitive domain or to measure student behavior in the affective domain, because attitudes, you see, cannot be measured by paper and pencil test. You need to observe the student behavior, or sometimes you need to know their attitude towards your teaching. So you are preparing or constructing a behavioral rating scale, or you want to evaluate student performance in the psychomotor domain, that is the practicals in the laboratory or in the workshop. You want to evaluate the sources of learning outcome, okay. You want to evaluate the levels of learning outcomes. You see, not cognitive में there are 6 levels. कौन सा level आपने measure करना है? Whether you want to measure remembering, तो remembering के लिए different type of question बनाना पड़ेगा. Understanding के लिए different format होगा. Application के लिए different statement आपको use करनी पड़ेगी. And or you want to evaluate your own you see teaching strategy, the effectiveness of the lecture method, or effectiveness of say flipped classroom on the achievement of student, or you want to evaluate the effectiveness of the media which you have used, which media will be more beneficial, or you see relevant for teaching a particular topic. So you want to evaluate the effectiveness of a particular media. Then you need to know the strategies or models of evaluation. You see, you need to know that each technique of evaluation has its own advantages and disadvantages. So selecting an evaluation technique in terms of its relevance, objectivity, accuracy to the performance to be measured. So each technique is appropriate for some users, okay, and inappropriate for other. So there should be a close match between the intended learning outcome and the test item used. Okay, so this you need to know. Then comes the comprehensive evaluation requires a variety of evaluation technique. अभी मैंने बोला that each technique has its own advantages. For example, you see objective test. They are useful for measuring knowledge, understanding, application outcomes. Essay type tests are useful for measuring the student's ability to organize and express ideas. Observational techniques are used to assess performance skills or various other aspects of student behavior. There are self-report inventories like interest, attitudes, learning styles. So these can be used for evaluating the concerned attribute, maybe interest inventory for measuring the interest, learning style questionnaire for identifying the learning style of the students. So a complete picture of student achievement and development requires combining the results of different techniques. As I said, that no single type of instrument can assess varied learning and development outcomes. So a mixed approach need to be used. Then proper use of evaluation technique requires an awareness of their, you see, limitations. Evaluation techniques you see range from highly developed test like standardized test to crude assessment device like ऑब्जर्वेशन सेल्फ, क्योंकि ऑब्जर्वेशन में हम बायस हो सकते हैं, सेल्फ रिपोर्ट इन्वेंट्री उसमें भी आप बायस हो, बच्चा जो है स्टूडेंट जो है जब रिस्पॉन्ड कर रहा है वो ही कैन हाइड सम ऑफ हिज रियल चॉइसेस, ओके, so they yield results that are subject to various types of measurement errors. For example, sampling error. Achievement test may not adequately sample a particular domain of content. कुछ आइटम आप छोड़ देते हैं जब आप ओपन चॉइस देते हैं, so the test will not contain the all the learning outcomes. Chance factor, that is guessing on say objective item, or sometime the scoring is subjective in case of essay item. जब मैंने क्वेश्चन पूछा write a short note on semiconductor, now you will find different responses from different students because every student will interpret the question and he or she will delimit the domain of delimit the answer to be discussed according to his own mental judgment. Okay, so chance factor, inconsistent responding on self report instruments. कई बार बच्चा जो है, इवन हम भी आइडियल सिचुएशन को रिस्पॉन्ड करते हैं, एक्चुअल सिचुएशन को रिस्पॉन्ड नहीं करते हैं, राइट? तो ये भी एक जो है एरर है, एंड सम टाइम एरर इज ऑन अकाउंट ऑफ इनकरेक्ट इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ यू सी measurement results. So proper use of evaluation technique requires an evaluation of their technique. Then feedback has to be given immediately. If the question is asked in the class, the student responds to the question. If the answer is correct, the teacher needs to you see reinforce his behavior by saying wonderful, you have said very rightly. और अगर आंसर में कुछ गैप है, he has to identify the gap. Likewise, assignments आपने दी, ठीक है, तो असाइनमेंट को भी आपने गैप आइडेंटिफाई करके उनको बताना है कि यहाँ पर ये चीज रह गई है, इसको आपको स्ट्रेंथन करना है. ओके, तो नेक्स्ट सेशन में मिसेस अमनदीप कौर विल लेट यू नो टू डिजाइन रूब्रिक्स. ओके, तो रूब्रिक्स जो है वो आप जो है डिजाइन कर सकते हैं. And the evaluation has to be continuous because evaluation is a means to an end, not an end in itself. So the use of evaluation techniques implies that some purpose will be served and that user is clearly aware of the purpose. But to blindly gather data about students and then file it is you see in the hope that it will someday prove useful is definitely a waste of time and effort. तो continuous evaluation मैंने आपको ये बताया कि भी आपको in the semester you can conduct you see 3 sessional or 2 sessional assignments, weekly quizzes. Likewise, continuous evaluation can be on a particular topic also, कि आप पढ़ा रहे हैं, आपने थोड़ा सा पढ़ाया, आप एक आधा क्वेश्चन पूछा, फिर आगे अगली इनपुट दी, फिर you are asking 1 or 2 questions, then another input followed by question and feedback. Now coming to the 2 methods of interpreting the results. इसका मैंने रेफरेंस आपको स्टार्टिंग में दिया था. One is criterion reference testing. So this method describes student performance in terms of you see a clearly defined and delimited domain of learning task. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? ये क्राइटेरियन रेफरेंस तभी पॉसिबल है अगर आपने लर्निंग आउटकम पहले लिखे हुए हैं. जैसे टॉपिक है at the end of the say topic is force, तो लर्निंग आउटकम है एट द एंड ऑफ द लेक्चर or the topic, the students will be able to define force 100% correctly as per my instruction. ठीक है, तो हम स्टूडेंट को कंपेयर कर रहे हैं उनके आंसर्स को अगेंस्ट दी स्टेटेड लर्निंग आउटकम. लेकिन कई बार क्या होता है, हमारे स्टूडेंट जो है क्लासरूम में सारे अबव एवरेज नहीं है, तो वी कैन नॉट एक्सपेक्ट देम टू आंसर 100% करेक्टली. We have to you see settle for slightly lower, say 90% correctly or 85% correctly. You have to set the criteria. Okay, so the criterion reference testing, student performance is assessed against a set of predetermined standard, that is the learning outcome. उनको आपस में कंपेयर नहीं कर रहे. So based on a predetermined set of criteria, for example, 90% and up A grade, 80% to 89.99 B, 70 to 79.99 C, and so on. Okay. Now there are certain arguments which are in favor of criterion reference testing. There are some arguments which are against the criterion reference evaluation. So in favor include that criterion reference testing sets minimum performance expectation and demonstrate what students can and cannot do. Some of the arguments which are not in favor, that sometimes it is difficult to know just where to set boundary condition. जैसे मैंने बोला ना कि 100% करेक्टली, तो आपको 90 आपको देखना है कि मेरे स्टूडेंट जो है वो उनका लेवल क्या है, क्योंकि अगर आप 100% के पीछे चलते जा रहे हैं, तो यू हैव टू रिपीट द टॉपिक अगेन एंड अगेन. दैट इज नॉट feasible. Then the second one is the norm reference testing, which describes student performance in terms of the relative position held in some known group. Interpretations can be based on a local, state, or national group depending upon the use to be made of the results. So student performance is assessed relative to other students. यहाँ पर हम students को आपस में compare कर रहे हैं. Okay. So based upon the assumption of standard normal Gaussian distribution with n more than 30, so you will follow the normal probability curve. So this employs the Z score, that is top 10% will get A grade, next 20% will get B grade, next 40% will get C grade, next 20 will get D, and next the last 10% would get the F. So again, there are certain arguments in favor of norm reference evaluation, and certain arguments you see against this normal reference evaluation. Ensures a spread between top and bottom of the class for clear grade setting. Okay, shows student performance relative to the group. In contrary, a group with great performance, some will be ensured an F. पक्का, ठीक है ना, चाहे उसके मार्क्स 50% है, even then he will be given F grade. And the arguments which are against, top and bottom performance can sometimes be very close, so dispenses with absolute criteria for performance, and being above average doesn't necessarily imply you see A performance. Now coming to the characteristics of a good evaluation tool, that is, after you have developed the test, you need to look for the validity and reliability. So these are the two important parameters. So validity, I say a test is valid if it measures what it is supposed to measure. For example, what is the learning outcome and what is the corresponding question? If there is a proper match between the learning outcome and the statement of the question, then the question will provide valid results. So validity, you see, refers to the appropriateness of the interpretations which are made from test scores or other evaluation results with regard to a particular use. Say cloud computing. This is a subject which is taught in the BTech class, and this is also included in the ME course. So you have prepared a test for BTech students based upon the you see that the syllabus. You cannot administer it to the students of ME class. That will not provide valid results. So it मैंने बोला it refers to a particular use. For example, if a test is to be used to describe student achievement, we should like to be able to interpret the score as a relevant and representative sample of the achievement domain to be measured. So basically, validity is always concerned with the specific use of the result and soundness of our, you see, proposed interpretation. So as far as achievement test is concerned, we can ensure the content validity. How we can ensure that first of all, you will need to develop a table of specification. I think in today's context, every syllabus which is developed by a good institution contains table of specification. उसमें क्या होता है? There is a table, there are units, okay, and the weightage to each unit is also given. And if it is not given, you can develop yourself. How you can develop yourself? Say there is a subject or course which is to be taught in say 50 hours. So first of all, distribute all the topic or distribute the time in hours amongst all the topics. Okay. So for example, pehla unit hai. This can be completed only in say 8 hours. Okay. So how you will determine its weightage? 8 hours divided by 50 into 100. ठीक है, अगर 100 मार्क्स का आपने क्वेश्चन पेपर बनाना है तो 8/15 into 100, सो इसका मतलब 16 मार्क्स के क्वेश्चन जो हैं वो आप पहले यूनिट में से पूछेंगे. देन इन 16 मार्क्स को आपने फिर जो है ब्रेक डाउन करना है अमंग्स रिमेंबरिंग के कितने मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे, अंडरस्टैंडिंग का कितने मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन, एप्लीकेशन का कितने मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन एंड हायर देन एप्लीकेशन का कितने मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन. एंड देन यू विल स्टार्ट डेवलपिंग द आइटम्स. फिर देखेंगे कि क्या वो आइटम जो है वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग मेजर कर रहा है, क्या वो एप्लीकेशन मेजर कर रहा है. तो कंटेंट वैलिडिटी. ओके, so it is a process of determining the extent to which a test provides a relevant and representative sample of the subject matter content. Now friends, there are certain factors, if these are not considered while preparing question paper, will you see lower the validity. Let me present before you the factors. Ambiguity in the statements और unclear instructions. जैसे मैंने सवाल पूछा, what are Newton's laws of motion? Discuss applications of lubricants. What are Newton's laws of motion? अब एक स्टूडेंट इसको तीनों लॉ को स्टेट कर देता है. सेकेंड स्टूडेंट he says he explains each of the 3 law with one example. Another student explain each of the 3 laws with two examples. Now when it comes to scoring the or marking the answer sheet, obviously as a teacher you will give full marks to a student who has explained each of the 3 laws with two examples. But there is nothing in the statement of the question to imply that explanation is needed and 2 examples are needed, because the question was what are Newton's laws of motion. तो क्यों नहीं क्वेश्चन हम ऐसा बनाए, डिस्क्राइब each of 3 Newton's laws of motion with 1 example, या explain any 5 applications of particular lubricant, उसका नाम दे दे और 5 application और 4 application, not discuss application. So number is unlimited. देखिए एग्जामिनेशन हॉल में सब बच्चों को सब कुछ आता है, but when it comes to delimiting the scope of the answer to be discussed, everybody applies his or her own mind and fixes the scope. तो क्वेश्चन की स्टेटमेंट में क्लैरिटी होनी चाहिए. अगर आप चाहते हैं कि वो स्केच बनाए तो आप लिखो explain with a neat sketch the working principle of carburetor of an IC engine. So if there is an ambiguity or instructions are incomplete, then you will get different responses. That test will not provide valid result. और language यानी vocabulary बहुत tough है. जैसे मान लो मैंने लिखा elucidate the principle of something. No, the student is confused. Elucidate का meaning क्या है? Examination के बाद बच्चा आपके पास आता है, सर इसमें क्या लिखना था? आप बताते हो कि इसमें ये चीजें आनी थी. सर ये तो मुझे सब पता था. So please write the item in the language of the students. और एक और मैं सजेशन दूंगा कि सेमेस्टर खत्म होने से पहले जो प्रीवियस ईयर्स क्वेश्चन पेपर हैं बोर्ड के या यूनिवर्सिटीज के, प्लीज डू डिस्कस दोज क्वेश्चन पेपर इन द क्लास. कि ऐसी स्टेटमेंट होगी तो इसमें क्या चीज आती है, क्या कवर करना है, to help the students. So ambiguity in statement, unclear instructions, poorly prepared items or poorly arranged test item. For example, आपने सबसे difficult question number 1 पे रखा. Now student is taking too much time. और लास्ट में जो simple questions थे उनके लिए उसके पास टाइम ही नहीं बचा. So these need to arrange from simple to difficult. Okay, this is the guideline. Then adopting definite response pattern. Say आपने 10 true false item बनाए, पहला true, दूसरा false, तीसरा true, चौथा false. यहाँ you have prepared 10 multiple choice question. पहले का आंसर A, दूसरे का B, तीसरे का C, चौथे का D, पांचवे का A. So the student will tend to adopt a definite response pattern. So these need not be arranged in such a manner. Test contains items which are not taught in the class, difficult vocabulary, or using malpractices or cheating by some of the participants that will lower the validity of the tools. Now we move to the second characteristic of the evaluation, that is the reliability. Now, what is reliability? Reliability refers to consistency of results from one measurement to another measurement. That is, if one answer sheet is marked by 2 or more than 2 teachers, then the answer sheet should carry almost similar score. एक आधे नंबर का डिफरेंस हो सकता है, but the difference should not be significant. So, let me give you illustration. For example, a teacher had just given an achievement test to his students. Now, 3 questions come to mind. How similar would the students' score have been had the teacher tested them yesterday, tomorrow, or next week? जैसे for example, मैंने आपको क्वेश्चन दिया, write a short note on semiconductor, हुआ दे दिया, और फिर मैंने यही क्वेश्चन दे दिया. आपके अपने रिस्पॉन्स में चेंज आएगा. How would the scores have varied had the teachers selected a different sample of equivalent item? यानी एक ग्रुप को आपने, कोई बच्चे ज्यादा थे, आपने जो है क्या कहते हैं कंप्यूटर टेस्ट दिया, ठीक है, 10 बच्चों को पहले दिया, 10 बच्चों को बाद में दिया. इट मींस यू हैव प्रिपेयर्ड 2 पैरेलल फॉर्म्स ऑफ क्वेश्चन पेपर. तो हो सकता है एक ग्रुप को इजी आइटम आ जाए, दूसरे ग्रुप को डिफिकल्ट आ जाए. मे बी दे आर बेस्ड ऑन द सेम टेबल ऑफ स्पेसिफिकेशन. दिस मे हैपन. एंड थर्डली, इफ इट वर एन एसे टाइप test, how much would the scores have differed had a different teacher scored it? So there are these types of questions with which reliability is concerned. Unless the measurement can be shown to be reasonably consistent, that is generalizable over different occasion, over different sample of the same performance, or over different rater, we can have little confidence in the results. And on the other hand, we cannot expect test results to be perfectly consistent. There are a number of factors other than the quality being measured that may influence test scores. For example, if a single test is administered to the same group twice in close succession, then some variation in scores can be expected because of temporary fluctuations in memory, attention, fatigue, effort, guessing, and like that. And with a longer time period between two administrations of the test, additional variation in scores may be caused by, you see, intervening learning experiences, maybe the change in health or forgetting or less comparable testing condition. So if we use a different sample of the item in the second test, still another factor is likely to influence the results. Individual may find one test easier than the other. So because it happens to contain more items on topics with which they are familiar. Now, more consistent the test results are, the lesser would be the measurement error and greater would be its reliability. So reliability, you see, refers to the results obtained with the test and not to the test itself. You see, any particular test may have a number of different reliabilities depending upon the group involved and the situation in which it is used. So it is better to talk of the reliability of the test scores and not reliability of the test itself. Another is reliability. An estimate of reliability always refers to a particular type of consistency. You see, test scores are not reliable in general. They are reliable over different periods of time. मैंने आपको example दिया. They are reliable over different samples of questions. They are reliable over different daters. So for different interpretation, we need different analysis of consistency. So treating reliability as a general characteristic can only lead to, you can say, wrong interpretations. And reliability, let me, you see, make it clear. Reliability is a necessary but not a sufficient condition for validity. दोबारा बोलता हूं, reliability is a necessary but not a sufficient condition for validity, because a test, you see, a test which is producing totally inconsistent results cannot possibly provide valid information about the performance. On the other hand, highly consistent test results may be measuring the wrong thing or may be used in inappropriate ways. And reliability is primarily a statistical concept. So you can compute coefficient of correlation between the two sets of scores and obtain the degree of relationship. Now there are certain factors, if are not kept in mind, will lower the reliability of test results. One is the length of the test. In general, I would say the longer the test, the higher would be its reliability. Longer test means a test containing more number of items, requiring short answer than few items requiring long answers. ओके जैसे हमने बोला अटेम्प्ट एनी 5 आउट ऑफ 8 क्वेश्चन, तो उसमें हमने बहुत ही ऐसे टाइप क्वेश्चन डाल दिए, तो उसकी जगह आपने टेस्ट बड़ा कर दिया. मैं उदाहरण देता हूँ. You see, because why long test is preferred? Because long test provides a more adequate sample of behavior being measured, and scores are apt to be really less distorted by chance factor. मैं उदाहरण देता हूँ. For example, to measure spelling ability, we ask student to spell one word. एक word ही spell करना है. So there will be either perfect spellers or they will be complete failures. And if the word is difficult, most students would fail. And if the word is easy, most students would tend to be perfect. The fact that one word provides an unreliable estimate of a student's spelling ability is quite clear. So scores based on a large number of spelling words are apt to reflect real differences in students' spelling ability, and therefore they are more stable. So by increasing the size
మా
of
మ్యారేజ్ అయిన 1
question
మంత్ కి
paper,
1.5 మంత్ కు మా మామయ్యకి
we can
కాళ్ళు
increase
తీసేశారు
the
సార్.
consistency of our
అప్పుడు
measurement.
నాకు ఎంటెక్ ఫైనల్
मैं एक और
సెమిస్టర్
उदाहरण देता हूँ.
ఎగ్జామ్స్. మా ఆయన పెళ్లికి 15 రోజులు
Longer test
సిఎల్స్ పెట్టుకున్నారు.
also tends to reduce the influence of chance factor, like guessing. For example, on a 10 item, 10 true false item, a student might know 7 of the items and he guesses at the other 3. And a correct guess on all the 3 items would result in a perfect score, isn't it? And incorrect guesses on all the 3 items would result in only 7 correct score. So this would represent considerable variation in the test score resulting from the guessing alone. And if the same student takes a test with 100 true false items, then the correct guesses would tend to be cancelled by the incorrect guesses. So that is why we recommend that a test should contain more number of items. Second factor is the difficulty of the test. That is, if the test is very difficult, the students' marks would be like 54, 53, 52, 51. If the test is very easy, the student mark will be 89, 88, 87. Now, what is reliability? Consistency from one measurement to another measurement. The student who got 85 marks by evaluating through evaluation by one teacher, and if his answer sheet is marked by another teacher, he may not get the same marks. कभी 89 हो सकते हैं, कभी 81 भी हो सकते हैं. So अगर adequate difficulty level होगा क्वेश्चन पेपर में, से आपने नॉर्मल प्रोबेबिलिटी कर्व को फॉलो किया, 10% of the item are very difficult, 10% of the item are very very easy, and 80% item should belong to average difficulty level. तो स्टूडेंट्स के मार्क्स जो है कैसे आएंगे? 88, 85, 81, 76, क्योंकि स्प्रेड ऑफ स्कोर ज्यादा हो गया. तो जितना स्प्रेड ऑफ स्कोर ज्यादा होगा उतनी ही रिलायबिलिटी बढ़िया होगी. ऑब्जेक्टिविटी ऑफ स्कोरिंग, अगर आप उसमें नंबर फिक्स कर दें, स्पेसिफिक वर्ब लिखें, जैसे मैंने बोला डिफाइन फोर्स, मैं अगर ऐसा क्वेश्चन पूछता हूँ व्हाट डू यू नो अबाउट फोर्स, तो ये रिलायबल रिजल्ट नहीं देगा. डिफाइंड फोर्स, मैं चाहता हूं कि बच्चा टाइप्स भी बताए, डेफिनेशन, तो आप क्यों नहीं लिखते डिफाइंड फोर्स एंड स्टेट इट्स 3 टाइप्स विद एग्जांपल, एक्सप्लेन इट्स 3 टाइप्स विद एग्जांपल एंड सो ऑन, जो भी आपने कहना है. या से मैंने बोला डिस्क्राइब ईच ऑफ 3 न्यूटन लॉज ऑफ मोशन विद 1 एग्जांपल, तो आपको फिक्स करना है. देन the usability, ease of administration, time factor common रखना है, interpretation जो है easily होना चाहिए, cost, norms and so on. Now we'll move to the techniques of assessment. I'll give you only the advantages and disadvantages part. So firstly, it is the written test, closed book. So written test is most widely used test, as you know, to evaluate the learning outcomes in the cognitive domain. And there's a tendency to use a wide range of, you see, terms when describing written questions. You may have, say, the open-ended question, okay, where the advantage is that these impose no restriction on students with respect to length or style. So you can encourage creativity, you can assess argumentative skills, and you are giving opportunity to the student for the expression. Disadvantage is that time consuming, and अगर ऐसे टाइप क्वेश्चन है 20 नंबर का एक ही स्टेटमेंट, जैसे मैंने क्वेश्चन देखा, राइट एन एसे ऑन हाइड्रोक्लोरिक एसिड. नाउ द स्टूडेंट डजंट नो वेदर टू write the laboratory preparation or to write the industrial manufacturing, क्योंकि दोनों syllabus में है, whether to give the you see uh, uh, that physical properties or chemical properties, advantages, disadvantages, nothing is mentioned, everything is to be given, पूरा chapter लिखना है. Time consuming, subjectivity, low reliability, limited content validity, and favor the verbally fluent. Okay. Then written test is essay type, restricted response question. So students are communicated through the item about the specific context in which the student must answer the question. So such question provide definite, you see, definiteness to the students. So जैसे मैंने बोला, describe each of 3 Newton's laws of motion with one example. Advantages है, these encourage good study habit, easily constructed, scoring relatively more objective, provide guidance, and disadvantage is only time consuming. Now short answer type test, it can be in the form of a short answer question. जैसे मैंने बोला, 8 is what percentage of 64? Name one sulfide ore of copper, and so on. So short answer, it can be in the form of fill in the blanks also. Okay, so these can be used to test the comprehension ability, not higher ability can be measured. This is the disadvantage. And easily constructed, scoring is relatively more objective, ensure more coverage of content, क्योंकि आप एक नंबर के कई सारे क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं. तो disadvantage, only disadvantage is that it is not suited for testing higher mental ability, like जो cognitive domain में application है, analysis है, evaluating, creating, ये सारी measure नहीं हो सकती. And another is objective type test, true, false. Okay. Advantage, application to wide content, easily constructed, objective scoring, test per unit of working time. Disadvantage, susceptibility of guessing, incorrect items have undesirable effect, definite response pattern. Then matching type test, in which two you see tables are given. The students are required to match the items given in table 1 with the items corresponding responses given in the table 2. Okay, so इसकी objectivity अगर increase करनी है, guessing reduce करनी है, तो you need to increase more number of responses than the premises. अगर 4 premises है, अगर 4 ही आपने responses रखे हैं, तो अगर बच्चे को 3 आते हैं तो एक के ऊपर अपने आप इसको पता चल जाएगा. तो 4 premises है तो आप 6 responses रख दें ताकि guessing जो है वो कम हो जाए. And you need to give the basis of association also, on which basis the items are to be matched. Then written test, multiple choice type. So these can test a variety of abilities. You can cover more content matter. Scoring is objective, guessing is minimum in case you introduce the negative marking, test per unit of working time. And only disadvantage is that sometimes some items are difficult to consider because thinking about 4 answers, which 2 are plausible. Plausible का मतलब क्या है? That every response has an equal probability of being selected by the student if he or she commits some error. ये नहीं कि odd man out है. So कई बार क्या होता है, 2 response पता है तो हम क्या करते हैं, लिख देते हैं तीसरा response both A and B, चौथा कर देते हैं neither A nor B, और 3 पता है तो चौथा लिख देते हैं all of the above और neither none of these. तो ये ऐसे नहीं बनाए. ये गाइडलाइन है कि आपको वही आइटम बनाए जिसमें possibly you can think of 4 answers. Another very important, open book examination. You see, these are best suited to subjects which make use of a wide range of printed material. And the learner, you see, has the access to the textbooks or source material throughout the test. And this particular aspect removes the temptation for the learner to learn the passage by heart, or to learn or to remember, rote memorize the formula, etc. So these promote learning, reduce worry, tension about the examination and reduce cheating. Learners are encouraged to review learning material rather than to memorize factual material. But these tests, the questions are very difficult to construct. क्वेश्चन ऐसा नहीं है कि आप किसी पर्टिकुलर एक बुक से ही देखकर, जब तक उसको फंडामेंटल्स क्लियर नहीं है, द स्टूडेंट will not be able to answer the question. So difficulty on the part of the teacher, and such type of questions are suitable only for the final year students, higher ability groups, और time consuming है ये थोड़ा सा process. Another is the skill test, performance test, to evaluate how quickly you can learn a new skill to competently carry out the job. Then oral questioning can be used in the classroom or in the laboratory workshops, and time consuming hai because you cannot ask each student all the questions, so less reliable than written test, because written test तो देखा लिख के बच्चे ने दिया है, and demands training in questioning skill on the part of the teacher. Observation of the student as they participate in, say, ongoing classroom activity, or maybe in the practical laboratory or in the workshop or any learning activity, is one of the most effective technique of assessment to ascertain the extent to which the learning outcomes are being attained by the student. For example, the teacher can observe student performance as they sound out words clearly, make outlines, draw a map, graph, drawing, plan and conduct demonstration and experiment, perform a task, or demonstrate a motor skill. So immediate feedback can be obtained through this technique. So you can prepare the checklist. It is usually listing of steps or activities or skills or objectives in which the teacher checks the item as they are exhibited by the student. Or you can say it is a list of desirable learners' characteristics or actions and used to determine the presence or absence of each characteristic. So easy to construct, simple scoring, and can be used for diagnostic purposes, but these do not discriminate among students because these only indicate presence or absence. So for discriminating among students, you can use rating scales. So rating scale indicates the status of an individual on a series of traits by means of checking the degree to which the learner has developed each characteristic. So a rating scale is used when one wants to obtain final discrimination. मैंने अभी आपको बताया. And the construction of a checklist and rating scale is same, except that you are including the degree that needs to be clearly defined in rating scale. So rating scale जो है, they can be numerical or graphical rating scale. Okay. For example, ये मैंने graphic rating scale बनाया, indicates the answer options on a scale of 1 to 3 or 1 to 5. For example, मैंने lecture पढ़ा दिया, demonstration दे दिया. Now this is one statement. Express your level of satisfaction after attending to my demonstration. Now there are 5 responses: highly dissatisfied, dissatisfied, neutral, satisfied, highly satisfied. So you can give marks also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 will be given to the response on highly satisfied. So there are rating scales like numerical rating scale हो सकती है, graphical मैंने आपको बता दिया. Okay. Then the advantages, disadvantages I have already. Now self-report inventory, जैसे index of learning style, ये मैंने आपको बताया दिया था. Index of self-learning style, you can find out. Interest, your attitudes. Okay, आपने you want to study the attitude of student towards cloud computing, so you have prepared one questionnaire and you have administered to the students, so they are giving their responses. Okay, so self-report inventories may include personality test, aptitude test, numerical reasoning, verbal reasoning, inductive reasoning, error checking test, or you have personality test, leadership test, motivational test, and so on. Then another is sociometric, you see, technique. Again, this is a wonderful technique. This allows the teacher to appraise the social, you see, acceptance of different learners and the social structure of the group. So, in order to provide information on social behavior, teachers study the social structure of the classroom by asking students to make certain meaningful choices. For example, with which student, you see, would you like to work in the laboratory or workshop, or with which two students would you like to take up a project work? ठीक है ना? तो आपने देखा कि जैसे ये स्टूडेंट नंबर 9, he is liked by so many friends, so you can form groups and you will find uh, more creativity, more productivity. So the advantage is that it helps in forming groups, improving student adjustment. Classroom becomes conducive and it is very simple to use. But the disadvantage is that some students try to hide their real choices. So I think I should stop here. And now I open this session for discussion or any question you have got. You are welcome. Yes. So the session is open, and if you have any query, any questions, you are welcome. So मैं to conclude यही करूँगा that please use a variety of techniques for measuring students' vast array of learning abilities. Okay, और मान लीजिए written test भी है. Again in the written test, use a variety of test item like short answer question, multiple choice question, restricted response essay question, extended response essay question, and so on.
Sir, hello.
हाँ जी जनार्दन जी please.
Yeah. Which are the best two systems for
Huh?
sir? Which are the best two systems among whatever you discuss, various systems? Can you suggest two systems, two best systems to assess students?
नहीं, which two system?
Like technical assessment, like student assessment. You have mentioned like conducting a quiz and normal oral questions, and you have suggested many, no?
No, I think it should be left to the teacher. So a teacher can devise the plan for his, you see, subject, and that must be communicated to the student in advance. That for the sessionals, I will be using 2 best out of 3 sessional tests. I will also include the weightage. I'll also give weightage to the weekly quiz. I'll also give weightage to the assignments, or I'll also give weightage to the punctuality and so on. So you need to you see devise your own structure, and that should be communicated to the student in advance. That at the end they must know that I will get this much marks only. Then there is no hera fairy, कोई bias नहीं होना चाहिए.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So, okay, if there are no more questions, so we break for 5 minutes, and we'll start next section at 11:30. And this session will be engaged by Mrs. Amandeep Kaur, and the session is on designing rubrics. Again, a wonderful topic. So please ensure that you will remain punctual and you will be attending all the sessions. And I have got some feedback from the participant that they want that the last session tomorrow, that is valediction and the quiz, should be conducted between 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., not after 2 p.m. So we have considered your request, and tomorrow after 2 sessions are over, we will conduct the quiz, which contains 30 items pertaining to all the content topics which we have included in this 5 days program. And then we'll also give you the Google feedback form, and then we'll ask the final question. We'll ask for final feedback. So thank you very much. So kindly remain connected, and Mrs. Amandeep Kaur is going to engage the next session. Thank you very much.